The most important things for Iowa in this game is to be able to secure defensive boards. LSU, an outstanding offensive rebounding team.
Clark connects! This game, Iowa a 4-point lead as we send things over to Holly Rowe. Be given opportunities to take shots tonight. They need her to feel confident in her mid-range.
And I think Iowa is okay giving up the mid-range.
Here's Clark driving in for two. Tip by Iowa.
We saw this a lot in the Sweet 16 game against Colorado. Caitlin Clark turning the corner and finishing an easy one.
And has averaged over 21 points in her collegiate career. That's third most amongst active players. Clark backdoor, Martin, easy two. Here's an interesting substitution for LSU. As last year Poa comes in, it was Poa who drew 2 offensive fouls on Clark in last year's national championship game.
She has more size and length.
Clark, you bet!
The excitement in women's basketball reached a fever pitch this season. But no one could have guessed the unfolding drama that was about to happen between 2 of the WNBA's most captivating players. Angel Reese, the bold and dominant Chicago Sky forward, found herself becoming the focal point of discussion after Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Fever young sensational, known for her accuracy and firepower, snatched the MVP title from what many thought was already in Reese's grasp.
Long. Reese draws two. Reese whips it in. Puts the foul.
Did in their last game against Tennessee as well. All right, Angel Reese, that's how you get a double-double.
It's open, clear out, give her space, because
With time this season, she's hit the 20-point mark, including last 2.
Hesitated a little bit. Reese hop steps around to her right hand and hits Layla Lauren.
Great dish inside, and Reese to Poole.
Reese spinning, lobbing it up and rolling it.
From the minute the whistle was blown, it was clear that this wasn't just the typical basketball we are used to. This was about pride, legacy, and dominance. Fans from all over the globe packed the arena, waiting to see what most believed was going to be Reese's crowning moment. But when the announcement eventually came, and it wasn't for Reese, an outburst of emotion erupted that nobody ever thought possible.
Martin looking. Here's Clark. She fires and goes! She hits!
Before we go further into the thrilling rivalry and the unexpected twists of this unforgettable season, don't forget to subscribe, click on the notification, like and share our video to stay updated on all the latest buzz going on in the WNBA. Angel Reese had been a strong contender for all available titles in the Women's Basketball League all season. Her performance was nothing short of spectacular as she led her team to victory after victory. By the time the MVP discussion gained momentum, Reese was widely fingered to be the favorite. Her stats were stellar, leading her team in points, rebounds, and defensive blocks. Every time she stepped onto the court, there was no mistaking her dominance.
Let's start with the rookies. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark have led Chicago and Indiana to big wins, taking down 2 of the top teams in the league. Chicago, big win on the road over Seattle. Angel Reese's double-double streak extending her record to now 12 straight, Carolyn Peck.
And she has put in the work. And let me tell you, in this game this weekend, not only was she rebounded, she hit 2 threes. Don't question that perimeter shot.
Okay, she and Kennedy Carter really went to work. Big win for the young Sky. How about SZA recognizing game, saying she can't wait to go see Angel Reese play some basketball. All right, SZA, we want to see you in the stands, okay? Well, speaking of making history, let's go over to Indiana, where Caitlin Clark notched the first triple-double ever by a WNBA rookie and the first in Fever franchise history. 19 points, 13 assists, 12 rebounds, and a huge win over the Liberty at home.
However, on the other side of the court is Caitlin Clark, the sharpshooting point guard, who against all odds lived up to and beyond hype and kept climbing higher. While Reese is considered for strength and doggedness in the paint, Clark was redefining what it's like to be a playmaker. Her quick movements, court vision, and precision shooting made her unstoppable. It was the story of the immovable object confronting the unstoppable force, and the basketball world was watching with wild excitement. Caitlin Clark didn't just play the game, she orchestrated it like a seasoned maestro. Every shot was deliberate, every pass precise. What made her different was her ability to change the course of the game in an instant, whether it was a buzzer beater from the half-court line or a no-look assist that had fans jumping on their feet in disbelief. Clark played with such a character that contradicts her age. She wasn't just scoring points, she was breaking records.
The most important things for Iowa in this game is to be able to secure defensive boards. LSU, an outstanding offensive rebounding team.
Clark connects! This game, Iowa a 4-point lead as we send things over to Holly Rowe. Be given opportunities to take shots tonight. They need her to feel confident in her mid-range.
And I think Iowa is okay giving up the mid-range.
Here's Clark driving in for two. Hit by Iowa.
We saw this a lot in the Sweet 16 game against Colorado. Caitlin Clark turning the corner and finishing an easy one.
Has averaged over 21 points in her collegiate career. That's third most amongst active players. Clark backdoor, Martin, easy two.
But it wasn't her stats that made the fans fall in love with her. It was the way she handled pressure. Where other players might weaken under expectation, Clark thrived. With each game she played, she continued to build a case for herself as a strong contender for the MVP, even as many expected Reese to take home the title. And when the time to announce the winner came, it was obvious that Clark had won over the audience with her talent.
Well, Caitlin, welcome to Indianapolis. How good does it feel to be here in the Circle City?
It feels amazing. I mean, I couldn't be more excited to be coming to Indianapolis, a city that, just loves basketball, whether it's the Pacers, whether it's the Fever, and they just do it the right way. Like, the city's awesome. Like, it's perfect for me, and, I couldn't be more excited to start my professional career here.
I'll never forget this moment. I was down in Phoenix covering Purdue Final Four, and I saw this tweet from you, and it said 18.7 million people watching.
Pretty simple tweet.
Yeah, that's right. Pretty simple, right? Give me your thoughts on just women's basketball right now and just how big it is. And we know it's going to be special here in Indianapolis when you come to town.
Yeah, I think it's obviously very, very special right now. I think the biggest thing is like when you see those numbers up against like the Masters numbers, MLB numbers, college football. We were only beat out by one regular season college football game. To me, like, that shows how many people really want to watch and support and how much people love it, but they're continuing to come back for more every single time they watch. So
the moment the MVP winner was announced, the expression on Reese's face said it all. The cameras zoomed in on her face, catching the raw emotion of disbelief. She had played with unwavering commitment, given everything she had on the court, and yet MVP title had slipped through her fingers. For Reese, this goes far beyond missing an award. It was personal.
I don't really get to stand up for myself. I mean, I have great teammates. I have a great support system. I got my hometown. I got my family that stands up for me. I don't really get to speak out on things just because I just try to ignore, and I just try to stand strong. Like, I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats, I've been sexualized, I've been threatened.
It wasn't long before people noticed Reese's frustration. What was meant to be a celebration of the season suddenly turned into a public spectacle. Whether it was a verbal outburst or a series of gestures that left fans buzzing, it was obvious that Reese wasn't happy with the decision just by the looks on her face. And the reaction was not limited to the court. Social media exploded as fans took advantage to weigh in on the drama, with some siding with Reese while others pitched their tent with Clark.
Don't want Angel Reese to be the one coming at her, and they use ethnicity as the rationale behind it. Again, very few compared to the many who wouldn't do that, but it is that kind of hate.
She mocked Caitlin Clark. So
experts recently tore into Angel Reese, and honestly, her reaction was just as shocking as their harsh words. Instead of acknowledging Caitlin Clark's obvious edge in hard work and performance, Reese decided to pull the race card, claiming people only love Clark because she's white.
she won a national title. She didn't celebrate with her teammates. She mocked Caitlin Clark. So there's jealousy there. I certainly see that with her. I don't know about the league.
Like, really? Girl, are you serious? Can't you see those stats? 8.5 assists per game, a 42.3% field goal, and a 34.7% three-point percentage? Is all of that just because of her skin color? If that's the case, then sure. Let's get every American.
Hours later, the story took a new dimension with a life of its own. Headlines everywhere read Angel Reese throws tantrum after MVP snubbed this. Wasn't just the media alone that caught the wind of the drama, players. Coaches and fans all had something to say. Reese's attitude has moved the conversation from her performance on the court to her action off the court.
Angel, your actions are starting to speak so loud, we can't hear what you're telling us.
I would have ejected her from the game. It's not a basketball play.
Angel Reese just got absolutely humiliated by experts. And honestly, it's probably the last thing she expected after all the shade she's thrown at Caitlin Clark. But here we are, watching her throw the biggest tantrum, trying to play the victim card, whining about how mean the experts were. I mean, come on, girl, what did you expect? You've been hating on Clark for so long, you practically asked for this roast. Instead of giving Clark some well-deserved credit for her insane hard work and talent, Angel keeps stirring the pot with jealousy.
And when Angel Reese comes out and says, she ain't the only one everybody's watching, they're watching me too, they're watching others, a day later she gets ejected.
1 minute, it's about race. The next, she's claiming Clark is all hype. Like, pick a lane. But don't worry, because the experts are here to drag Angel back to reality.
Her frustration is reasonable. After all, she had invested so much, poured blood, sweat, tears into her season. However, the way she handled her frustration became the subject of close examination. Some associated it with passion, others labeled it immaturity. Whichever way, Reese's tantrum overshadowed what should have been an insightful moment for the sport. While Reese was at the center of a media storm, Caitlin Clark maintained her composure. There was no gloating, no grandstanding. For Clark, winning the MVP title was validation of the hard work she had put in throughout the season. She remained graceful, letting her performance speak for itself. Clark's calm demeanor in the face of the controversy only further elevated her status. Fans couldn't help but draw comparisons between her poise and Reese's fiery response. In the battle for public favor, Clark's measured approach won her even more supporters. The reaction from fans was a total division down the line. Those in favor of Reese argue that the MVP decision was biased, and that her contribution to the game was undervalued because she didn't fit the mold of a traditional star. These fans mentioned her leadership quality, her defensive prowess, and her ability to take over the game when the team needed it the most. To them, the title is Reese's, and therefore she was robbed.
Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly. And there's no place for it, and we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it. And basketball is headed in a great direction, but nah, we don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us racial names. I mean, we already see what's happening in the world and what we have to deal with in that aspect. And we come to play basketball for our job, and it's fun, but we don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that. It's uncalled for, and something needs to be done.
On Caitlin's side, fans pointed to the numbers. They argued that Clark's offensive dominance, her playmaking, and her ability to carry her teammates along were what truly deserving the title. It wasn't about who shouted the loudest, it was who has the knack to perform under pressure. And in their eyes, Clark was the undeniable choice.
First round playoff series tonight in Connecticut. One particular part of the Fever pregame has become a thrilling part of the Caitlin Clark experience. Brad Brown shows us how it's become a signature moment for some lucky fans.
Long before any game tips off at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the mad dash to the rail begins. And what follows may be the most thrilling 60 or 70 seconds of any Indiana Fever game. And Caitlin Clark takes it on with the intensity of a fourth quarter comeback.
first thing I'm looking for is the young kids. Like, that's who I look to sign for more than anything. Young girls, young boys, that's who I want to make sure I can get to before anything. Obviously, I want to make time for everybody. That's obviously really hard with the amount of people that are over there and want me to sign. But definitely looking for the young boys and young girls, like I said. I feel like I was just them wanting anybody's autograph, so that's definitely what I look for when I go over there.
As the drama continued to take shape, deeper conversation began to come to the fore. The rivalry between Reese and Clark became symbolic of something bigger happening in the world of sport. Some critics wondered if Reese's blunt personality had worked against her, while Clark's quieter, more conservative approach played into traditional expectations of female athletes. Race what not left out in the discussion, with some questioning whether Reese's skin color played a role in how she was being represented in the media compared to Clark's white skin. This conversation has gone far from just mere basketball. It has transformed and become a reflection of broader societal issues that can still be evident in many sports.
All of this conversation around Indiana Fever fans, it's all just misguided over-hatred of Caitlin Clark and pointing the finger at those guys, they're the racists, when really, y'all are the racists. The people coming up with excuses to hate Caitlin Clark and the new fan base that she brought. And justifying, again, as we talked about yesterday, Nike won't even put out a Caitlin Clark commercial, won't put out a Caitlin Clark shoe, because Nike has decided that they must bow to the angry black feminists, the Black Lives Matter movement, the feminist movement overall, the whole identity politics movement of, oh no, yes, Caitlin Clark is the biggest star in sports, but Nike, in order to promote equity and fairness and diversity and inclusion, you must spend all of your money promoting Asia Wilson.
With the season almost over, the question that keeps popping up is, what does the future hold in stock for Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark? The conversation these two basketball titans have generated have entangled their fans and divided them in parallel lines that few storyline in women basketball could rival. Both players are wonderfully talented, but their contrasting personalities have created a dynamic that cannot be ignored. As the WNBA and the sport world in general continue to develop, it's possible that this rivalry will take a new turn and become something more positive. It could push both players to greater heights, inspire the next generation of athletes, and raise the visibility of women's basketball to a whole new level. However, for such to happen, both players, including their fans, will need to find a spot to move past the drama and focus on what truly matters, the game.
When Kennedy Carter hip-checked Caitlin, was that a basketball play? Absolutely not. Was Kennedy wrong? 100%. It was not as hard as people say, but it was everywhere. When Alyssa Thomas clotheslined Angel and took her out, that was worse than what Kennedy did.
Facts.
But where was the uproar? Tell me why.
One's a villain.
Who?
The one who says she's a villain. What I'm saying is if Draymond right now gets closed by somebody, there's no uproar. One, she physically can handle herself. The way she plays the game is a rugged style, like she's built for let's combat. One damn near sprained her ankle against a fan trying to celebrate with her team. Let's not forget that. Any contact she feels, she's gonna flop a little bit. And that's how she sells certain fouls. But with Angel, she's a rugged girl.
At the center of the story are two players who are redefining the future of basketball in their own unique ways. Angel Reese, with her profound passion and drive, will no doubt continue to be an inspiration in and off the court. And Caitlin Clark, with her calculated, precise playing style, will not stop breaking records and continue to push the limits of what's possible. The MVP title may have generated this controversy, but in the end, both players are about to stamp their feet in the legendary Hall of Fame. The real question is, how will they use this moment to ignite their future success? Only time will tell, but one is clear. This type of rivalry will be on the lips of fans for many years to come. And as for the MVP title, it may have been Clark's this year, but Reese isn't done. Not by a long shot.
Superstar Caitlin Clark has become one of the most celebrated athletes in sports, and that was on display tonight at the ESPYs as Clark was a candidate for some major awards. Caitlin Clark was up for 3 awards tonight, and Clark wins 2 of them for the best athlete in women's college sport and also the best record-breaking performance. That means in any professional or collegiate